Good evening and welcome to everybody. January 6th, we are through the NEET PGE 2020. So, there are some happy news, there are some sad news, there are some post-traumatic stress situation. There are few who will run away from social media to overcome the stress. So, there are many reactions. But one thing, a common denominator to all these things is the strategy worked. The strategy works. The strategy will work, right? What is the strategy? To read less and score high. To be smart in your preparation, the strategy definitely works. Rakhendo, Ultimate Legacy, Nagredisa, Monica, Arju, Maran and all our old gang. I wish you all have done well in the NEET PG 2020 paper. So, once more, the January comes within a short period of time. AIMS exam will be there, PGI will be there. So, once more the game starts. It's all a question of, are you able to cover these 953 topics? If you are able to cover at least once and revised the top 400 topics before exam, inevitably you will score. So that's what I like to tell all of you. So those who had a little acute myocardial infarction in the exam hall, don't worry. Still you don't have any Q waves, right? It is only a little slight ST elevation with a few T wave changes. So you can recover, rebound and restart the game. Ultimately, the moment you are good with 953 high yield topics that I gave you, nobody, no power in the world will stop you from winning. So at least see to that 400 to 500 hours of your time you spend with Dr. Murli Bharadwaj. Agar seat nahi aaye to mera zimmedari. So that is the deal with all of you, right? Yes. Nagreddy is saying, hope to sit one more year, I think. I will be sitting for next 30 years. There is no doubt about it. So that is the reason, if you are able to get the time to do the revision, at least every day 2 to 3 hours, if you are studying 4 to 5 months of every day 2 to 3 hours is more than enough to become the topper. So let us make the great beginning, doctor. Forget all the sorrow. The only way that we can overcome the sorrow or anxiety or anything is cleaning away the ignorance. That only happens when we study, when we are working in hospital, etc., etc. So the best palliation I felt to all my students online is to get rid of any sorrow, if at all, is there about the past NEET PG is by spending a good time every day, couple of hours in doing the revision. So this begins the first day of our next round of journey towards FMGE exam in June, AIMS and PGI in May 2020 and the 2021 NEET PG. So let's make the great beginning, doctor. So anatomy. Anatomy is the most expansive, extensive area. The whole secret lies in how can you do the revision in 15 hours? Can you do the revision in 15 hours? First of all, is it true that we can do like that? Yes. There are about 800 MCQs asked in the foreign medical graduate exam. 1200 MCQs from the All India PG medical entrance and the NEET PG. and there are about 400 MCQs from the aims. After analyzing these 3 question banks, every question is labeled which topic it belongs, and then all questions belonging to same topic are brought to one place. And we asked the computer to arrange them in the descending order of the priority, just like you prepare for your MBBS final year exam or MBBS exams. Stock topics. Same approach even for the FMGE or the NEET PG also. So there are 24 major topics and 35 minor topics, from which those 20 questions of the examiner are going to come. So हम फटाफट रिविजन करेंगे. The highest number of questions are from radial, median, ulnar, axillary, musculocutaneous. One question without from this topic is an impossible story, right? Nagrete is saying there are no single liners. It's a good news. Actually, if it is a clinical vignette based questions, it's very easy to crack. Image based questions, clinical vignette based questions are very easy to crack. Let me once more tell you. Now, thank you Ultimate Legacy for the feedback. I scored 180 correct because of your class that I attended last year. Definitely, doctor. There are also, success is no big deal, right? I'm not worried about the guys who are successful today. Without me also they would have been successful. I'm only bothered about those who are in the borderline, who somehow could not be able to make it up, could not be able to revise. They are the things who are close to my heart, and I want to see that within the next 5 months they recover and then be able to hit it, the aims, or if they are going for FMGE exam and PGI, which is in another 4 months. We should all be having a positive mind, always looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. So these are my target population with whom I'm going to do the journey every day. So doctor, which artery is present in anatomical snuff box? Keep punching your answers, doctor. From tomorrow onwards, I will give some these questions as a quiz before, so that you answer the quiz and join the discussion. So keep punching your answers. Very good. Good to see Roshan Yadav, Ashish Pandey. All our team is back. Excellent, doctor. So, radial artery. The main contents of the anatomical snuff box is the radial artery, a branch of radial nerve, and the cephalic vein is what you need to remember. So, typically you have a trapezium and scaphoid. This is the tendon of extensor pollicis longus, the radial artery, the cephalic vein, and the tendon of abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. Surang is asking, sir, your coaching gives notes. Oh, why not, doctor? There are all these PowerPoint slides which are used for delivering the class. They are all available in the online mbbs.com video library. 2 lakh PowerPoint slides are available. Just jump in and take a subscription of online mbbs.com video library. Please catch up with our helpline 9000-868-356. Whatever that you can afford to pay, you can pay. There are 3,000 video lectures, 30,000 MCQs which have been revised topic wise, 953 topics. Everything is made available, and all these live sessions, almost 500 hours, we have a live online interactive session on the YouTube every year, almost every day 2 hours. So this will keep you motivated and stimulated, and the video library help you to do the revision. right? So that is the idea. So what is the mnemonic to remember? Anatomical snuff box, doctor. Cars. C. Cephalic vein. A. Radial artery. R. Radial nerve. Yes, which is the superficial branch of the radial nerve. They are all the contents is what you need to remember. Once more, doctor. Medial boundary is extensor pollicis longus. Lateral boundary, abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. Roof is cephalic vein and superficial branch of the radial nerve. The floor is the scaphoid bone. Content is the radial artery. That is what you have to emphatically remember for the tomorrow's exam. So these are all the FMGE questions, doctor. Why I have chosen FMGE is FMGE, NEET PG, AIMS, they're all same NAT board. So that is the reason there is the pattern of the high priority here, FMGE or NEET PG. Everything is a similar pattern of priority topics. So let us take an opportunity to revise. Pointing index is an injury to the median nerve is what you need to remember. So one more, Guyon's canal. So typically this is the Guyon's canal, superficial sensory branch. Ulnar nerve passes through the Guyon's canal is what you need to remember. Paralysis of opponent's pollicis. What does it lead to? Typically it leads to the pinching action of the thumb is what you need to remember. So if you look at the intrinsic muscles of the hand, you should remember lumbricals, palmar interosseous, first dorsal interosseous, abductor digiti minimi, flexor digiti minimi, opponens digiti minimi, palmaris brevis. Then thumb, adductor pollicis, flexor pollicis, opponens pollicis, abductor pollicis. Every examiner is very sure of asking one question on ulnar, median, radial, musculocutaneous. You have to be 100% sure about. Good to see Ambika Ramakrishnan. So tell all your juniors, I always consider our online students are our best brand ambassadors. We don't go about marketing anything, you know. Ultimately, when we are able to do something good, something useful, something practical, something smart enough, automatically the students join. So tell your juniors that they need not run around very costly face-to-face coaching classes which are not interactive in crowded classrooms. Today, with this internet in advent, the modern buzzword is live online broadcasted interactive session to stimulate you to consume the videos which are there on the online video library. So onlinembbs.com has the 23 years of experience in mentoring thousands, almost 2 lakh medical students in the past 23 years. So that is the reason, and it is also, our whole idea is to democratize the education, affordable way, accessible way, anywhere, anytime. So that is the whole idea. So you can tell them that there is no other place that they really need to look for. Dr. Murali Bharadwaj is available, who will hold your hand and take you to become the winner in the tomorrow's NEET PG, FMGE, AIMS or the PGA exam, doctor. And also be part of our WhatsApp study group. We have around 20,000 students in about 80 WhatsApp study groups. Please call our helpline 9000-868-356 in order to get a entry into the WhatsApp. Now, doctor, yeah. Um, Anish Pandey is saying, can you move to the other side? Oh, definitely, definitely. This you can tell in a online class. Difficult to tell in a face-to-face class, right? And you need to travel in the traffic to reach a classroom. And most of the online face-to-face classes are all weekend classes in cramped classrooms at a time, 8 hours, 9 hours. It is not at all physiological. But at the same time, if you are thrown some videos on the mobile app and asked to do the revision, it is like a book, you won't be motivated. So always it is a good combination of live online interactive every day with some test, some questions discussed with the community, and then going back to the video library to do the revision. So that is a very good combination. So Dr. Opponent's Pollicis, let's talk about it. Origin is from flexor retinaculum and the tubercles of the scaphoid and trapezium. And it is the median nerve which supplies the thumb, opponent's pollicis. Now doc, hypothenar muscles, what is the supply of them? What is the nerve supply, doctor? Ulnar nerve. So you should remember that ulnar nerve supplies 14 muscles, 14 muscles, 3 hypothenar muscles, adductor pollicis. Generally, pollex means median nerve, but the only pollex, that is the thumb ka muscle which is supplied by the ulnar nerve is adductor pollicis. Sarang Bigwade is asking, sir, please tell what to do now. Typically during, after writing entrance exam, doctor, after being clean bowled with all bruises around, we used to have a party called gum party. अच्छा मुकेश का गाना लगा के एक बीर बॉटल ओपन करके, right? So 2 days, 3 days we used to have a morning. After that, go to Goa and take a break for about 3-4 days. Come back and start preparation, because always every 4-5 months there is the next entrance which is waiting. So that is the reason. By regretting, do we get anything? Nothing we get. And those who are becoming the toppers and getting the seat, yes, they did an effort. They were smart enough. They are able to know what are the 953 topics. The only difference is we did not get the time to read. That's the only difference between us and them. So that is the reason, let us give our time and spend 400-500 hours. Automatically we get the seat. It's not that it is like a permanent neurological disorder to not get seat in NEET PG. Everybody ultimately gets the seat and they join. Only question is, you should make up a mind and remain in the game and at least smartly study for 500 hours the 953 topics. And I promise to be your classmate every day for a couple of hours, to not let you to stop from preparing. That is the magic I am good at doing with all the students across the country. Right, doc? So no worries. And no more we should think about yesterday. We should think about tomorrow. That's most important. Dorsal palmar interosseous, they all supply ulnar nerve. Medial 2 lumbricals supply ulnar nerve. Now, the hypothenar muscles, all interosseous, 3rd, 4th lumbricals, adductor pollicis and articular branches. These are the things which are supplied by the ulnar nerve, is what you need to remember. So this is how the adductor pollicis, please don't forget, the only pollex muscle which is being supplied by the ulnar nerve hota hai, adductor pollicis is what you need to remember. Every time examiner same question. Opponent's Pollicis, Flexor Digitorum minimi, Abductor Digitorum minimi, all Digitorum minimi is ulnar nerve. Now doctor, Froment's test. Froment's test, where is it positive, doctor? Whenever there is any lesion in the ulnar nerve, Froment's test is positive. Now the question is, which muscle is involved in Froment's test? Whose paralysis? Then which muscle is trying to compensate it? That is the reason you get flexion when somebody is pulling the paper out. These are the two questions which are the favorite of the examiner, right? Why Froment sign happen? Who is overcompensating? Who is underperforming? Who is paralyzed? And who is compensating? Favorite question about the Froment. I'll come to that point. First lumbrical is supplied by median. First always means thumb, doctor. Fifth means little finger in the terminology of orthopedics and anatomy of the hand. Okay, so first lumbrical, median now. Acha bhaiya, what are lumbricals? What are lumbricals? Lumbricals are the four tendons of the Flexor Digitorum profundus. So what are lumbricals? They are the four tendons of Flexor Digitorum profundus. Very easy, doctor. In your forearm, you have two muscles which will ultimately lead to flexion. Flexor Digitorum superficialis, Flexor Digitorum profundus. This Flexor Digitorum profundus ultimately will influence the flexion of your dip, pip, etc., etc. So this Flexor Digitorum profundus has a medial half called ulnar half and a radial half. So it has different nerve supply for the medial and lateral halves. Okay, so the medial half of the Flexor Digitorum profundus is all by your ulnar nerve. And the same ulnar nerve will also supply the tendons of the Flexor Digitorum profundus, which are called lumbricals. Gotcha? Now, what is the action of lumbricals? You remember? Can you see this? Lumbricals. L, remember the L shape, right? Keep your hand like this, like this. What's happening? This is called metacarpophalangeal joint. See, these are the phalanges, no? Phalanges, no, doctor? So here you have metacarpals, here you have carpals. You have that idea, no? So metacarpophalangeal flexion, if you keep like this. And interphalangeal extension. और एक बार मेरे साथ बोलो, metacarpophalangeal flexion, interphalangeal extension. That is the function of the lumbricals. So out of these lumbricals, the radial lumbricals, that is the one which are towards the thumb, the radial two lumbricals are by the median nerve, ulnar, that is little finger side. The medial two lumbricals are by the ulnar nerve, radial two are by the median nerve, is what you have to basically remember. Right? Shudam is asking, sir, how will you teach all subjects? I don't understand. Because I cannot pay to the faculty. Nowadays, faculty charge almost 10,000 rupees per hour of lecture. So, and 20 years back when I was teaching, fundamentally I was myself preparing for entrance and started to teach. So that to overcome the boredom of reading alone. So always a bad student is a good teacher. And every day I get an opportunity to become a student with all you guys. So thank you very much for coming to the class. As you always say, 220 plus, we should use common sense. Absolutely, doctor. Exam was like a cake walk, sir. Good. Send me also a nice cake, Riyazu, in WhatsApp, right? I'll be very happy. So I'm just waiting for you guys to give me some good news that all our discussions, live online discussions, have really helped you, right? Definitely. So doctor, third and fourth lumbricals, once more the same question in the FMGE exam, right? So ulnar nerve, the nerve involved in the fracture shaft of the humerus is which one? It is the radial nerve, which is involved in the fracture shaft of the humerus. So you know very well, when the radial nerve is passing, no, how does it pass? It passes through the radial groove, right? Radial groove. That is the radial nerve. So any mid-shaft fracture will lead to the radial nerve injury of the humerus. That's the reason you need to operatively fix if you are having any fractured humerus with radial nerve involvement, neurovascular bundle involvement. That is an indication for operative fixation of the fracture shaft of the humerus is what you need to remember. Then one more important point you should not forget. Typically radial nerve is the one which supplies the supinator muscle. Gotcha? Supinator muscle. So what is the function of supinator? Supinator means if you want to drink a soup, what will you do? Your palm will look up. That's called supination. Pronation means pressing, right? Your palm is looking down. So now supinator muscle makes you to supinate. Who require a lot of supination? Carpenter. A carpenter is screwing a nail, right? He required to do the screwing by using supination function. Now, there is one more supinator. The other supinator is biceps brachii also. So when will biceps brachii act as a supinator? If you flex your elbow and screwing, right? That time your biceps become very prominent. So biceps is a supinator when the elbow is in flexion, and supinator muscle is the supinator when your elbow is in extension. Gotcha? So doctor, if at all there is any fracture of the humerus, what will happen? Radial nerve is gone. So the guy cannot be able to supinate in extended elbow because supinator got paralyzed. But still biceps is not affected because biceps is by musculocutaneous nerve, not by radial nerve. So typical clinical vignette of examiner is a carpenter by occupation, fully drunken, and he went and while walking met an accident, had a shaft of the humerus fracture. Then after he returned to work, he is unable to do his work, that is carpentry work means screwing job. He could not do with the elbow in extension, but he is able to do with the elbow in flexion. You should think of the radial nerve injury is what you need to remember. Froment's test is positive in ulnar nerve injury. So doctor, let's talk about Froment. The patient is instructed to hold a piece of paper between his first and second digits by forcefully opposing the two fingers. Examiner will try to pull out the paper. So if you are trying to hold a paper between your thumb and your finger, what is the function of pollex? It is undergoing opposition, right? Now, if you pull out, he is unable to hold it. But he flexes his thumb and then he will be able to hold it. That is called froments. So this is how, when you are trying to pull the paper out, there is a flexion happening in the pollex. So that is called the froments sign. Then one more thing, what's happening? Typically, there is a hyperextension at his metacarpophalangeal joint. There is a metacarpophalangeal hyperextension happening. That's called Jean's sign, is what you need to remember. So, hyperextension of the thumb, which is Jean's, associated with the wasting of the first dorsal interosseous, when there is, and also there is a excessive flexion happening at the thumb. They are the classical features of ulnar nerve palsy. So this is the favorite question of the examiner, doctor. Remember, one question is going to come from this. Thumbs up, what will you do? You do extension of the thumb. Thumbs up, extension of the thumb, extensor pollex, radial nerve is important. Okay sign. For that, what do you require? Flexor pollicis longus and flexor digitorum profundus. They both will flex your phalangeal joints, and you will be able to say okay. Any abnormality of that, unable to flex, as what you can see, is the classical feature of an injury to median nerve. Opposition of the thumb, opponent's pollicis is required, for which you need median nerve. The fingers are crossed, index and middle, the fingers are crossed, for that you require ulnar nerve. Then froment sign is because of ulnar nerve palsy. Who is weak? Adductor pollicis is weak. And flexor pollicis longus will try to compensate. That is the reason there is a flexion, because flexor pollicis longus is supplied by the median nerve. So that is what you have to fundamentally remember. So three questions come on the same issue. Weak adductor pollicis and a compensating flexor pollicis longus is responsible for the froment sign, is what you need to remember. Anju Rahman is saying, sir, is it available in the YouTube? Rahman, every day 2 hours we do live broadcast session. Please, after the session is over, we remove this. So our idea is, for the purpose of the revision, you will come and subscribe on the onlinembbs.com video library. We are not philanthropic, definitely not, but we are responsibly commercial, right? We want you to buy a subscription and you get grand tests, you get 2 lakh PowerPoint slides, you have 1,000 hours of video lecture content, and all this become archived into it. So that is the whole purpose. So please feel free. For a very affordable price, you get a subscription, annual subscription into the onlinembbs.com video library. 90000868 को अब भी WhatsApp करो, नहीं तो कॉल करो, right doctor? Now ulnar nerve palsy में क्या होता है doctor? Claw hand. What is the meaning of claw hand? Hyperextension of the metacarpophalangeal joint and flexion of the interphalangeal joint. इसको बोलते हैं clawing. Clawing is hyperextension of the metacarpophalangeal and flexion of the PIP and DIP joints is called clawing. So, what is the normal anatomy? If you look at the metacarpophalangeal joint movement, right, and interphalangeal joint movements are independent normally. But the two interphalangeal, dip and pip are there, no? They both are coordinated. The flexion of the dip joint brings about the flexion of the pip joint. That is the order of the nature. But what happens in case of clawing? Lumbricals are paralyzed and extensor digitorum supplied by radial nerve is active. Lumbricals का काम क्या है? To flex the metacarpophalangeal joint. To flex the metacarpophalangeal joint. That is paralyzed, but extensor digitorum is active, and that lead to development of hyperextension of the metacarpophalangeal joint. Next, pip joint. Pip joint. That is a proximal interphalangeal joint. The flexor digitorum superficialis is active, but interossei, which are supplied by the ulnar, they are paralyzed. So that lead to unopposed flexion of the PIP joint. Once more, dip joint. Dip joint, flexor digitorum profundus is active, which is not supplied by ulnar nerve, but interossei are paralyzed. Interossei function is what? Extension of dip and pip. But in ulnar nerve palsy, interossei are paralyzed, but the flexor digitorum profundus is active. Hence, the distal interphalangeal joint will go into unopposed flexion. That is responsible for the clawing, is what you need to basically remember. Okay, doc? So, that is the typical patho anatomy. Now, doctor. Oh, thanks for reminding. Am I blocking the screen? It's okay. All these are available in the PowerPoint slides in the onlinembbs.com video library, doctor. कुछ भी टेंशन नहीं है, आपको वहां मिल जाएगा, ठीक है? Now, musculocutaneous nerve. What does it supply? Musculocutaneous nerve. 1 minute, doctor. Something is buzzing. Yeah. Yeah, we are back. Now, doctor, musculocutaneous nerve supplies the brachialis, biceps brachii, and coracobrachialis. So, doctor, biceps brachialis, coracobrachialis, they are all supplied by the musculocutaneous nerve. So, what is the function of musculocutaneous? It leads to the flexion of the arm at the elbow. Supination of the forearm is the function of the musculocutaneous, and ultimately musculocutaneous become what? Typically it become the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm is what you need to understand. Now, what is the root value of radial nerve? Come on, punch your answers, doctor. Keep punching your answers. C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. C5 to T1. From where does radial nerve arise from? From the posterior card of the brachial plexus is what you need to remember. Now, fat bolo, doctor. Axillary, what does it supply? Deltoid teres minor, not major. That is what is tested by the examiner. Not major. Okay. Now, musculocutaneous supplies the anterior compartment, muscles in the arm, which are all flexors. Median nerve supply, most of the flexor muscles of the forearm and the intrinsic muscles in the hand. That's the reason it is called laborer's muscle. Ulnar nerve supplies flexor carpi ulnaris and the ulnar half of the flexor digitorum profundus and the intrinsic muscles. It is called musician's muscle. Radial nerve supplies all extensor muscles of both the arm and forearm are all by the radial is what you need to remember. Then musculocutaneous. Typically, it is derived from C5 to C7 cervical rami. C5, C6, C7. It supplies coracobrachialis and it supplies biceps brachialis and it continues as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. This is also a very favorite MCQ of examiner. Lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm is an extension of musculocutaneous nerve is what you need to remember. So coracobrachialis, biceps, most of the brachialis and it supplies the elbow joint and there is a branch to humerus via nutrient artery. Now, what are the lesions of musculocutaneous nerve? अगर musculocutaneous nerve को कुछ हो गया, brachialis, biceps brachii, they're all affected. So, what will happen? There is an injury, any injury to the upper arm or any fracture of the humerus can lead to a musculocutaneous nerve injury. If it got injured, there is a weakness of flexion of the elbow. Elbow को flex करना दिक्कत हो जाता. So elbow flexion get affected. Why? Because biceps brachii and brachialis, both of them are supplied by musculocutaneous, and that got injured means आपके elbow को flex करना दिक्कत हो जाएगा. So that is what you should remember. And also, it is the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. That is the place where you will have a sensory loss. So, doctor, axillary nerve, the next favorite area. C5 and C6. C5 and C6. So, axillary nerve typically supplies deltoid teres minor, not major, teres minor. That's what you need to remember. Then regimental area, cutaneous innervation is by the axillary nerve, where all police officers, they wear their badge, no? That is the place where axillary nerve supplies. So upper lateral cutaneous nerve of the skin of the arm, upper lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm is basically the axillary nerve. That is what you should remember. और एक बार बोलो, 2 points खत्म किया हमने. Lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm is from musculocutaneous. ये forearm होता है, ये arm होता है, वो तो मालूम है ना. Then arm का upper half में axillary nerve. So upper lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm is the name for axillary nerve. That is what you need to emphatically remember. So axillary nerve comes from the posterior cord. It is posterior to axillary artery in its third part and typically traverses through quadrangular space. There is an area which is called quadrangular space in the shoulder. So through that the axillary nerve passes. This is also the favorite MCQ of the examiner. What is the content of the quadrangular space? It is the axillary nerve, right? Then it ultimately supplies to the shoulder joint is what you need to remember. So if you look at the brachial plexus, doctor, brachial plexus posterior cord has one anterior and posterior branch. So typically brachial plexus anterior branch say naru to deltoid and skin over the upper arm, that is skin over its middle part of the arm is basically supplied. So this is how the typical posterior branch, and this is the anterior branch of the axillary nerve, and this is ultimately going and supplying the skin which is overlying the deltoid muscle, is what you need to remember. And posterior branch of the axillary supplies teres minor. Teres minor is what you should ultimately remember. So what are all the scenarios where axillary nerve is injured, doctor? One of the favorite questions of the examiner. Shoulder dislocation, any fracture of the upper end of the humerus, any misplaced injection into deltoid, they all can lead to the injury to the axillary nerve, is what you have to emphatically remember. If the axillary nerve is injured, deltoid become weak. Deltoid is important for abduction of the shoulder, so abduction become affected, and there is a loss of the sensation in the regimental badge area if the axillary nerve is injured, is what you need to remember. So doctor, 2 minutes. Shabu, don't be depressed with it. Depression is a perpetual contagious entity. 4 दिन, go to a hiking with friends, spend good time with your girlfriend because she may be missing you all the time. Then once more, any sadness will pass away within maximum 48 to 72 hours, unless it is a bereavement reaction. कोई मर गया क्या? कोई भी नहीं मरा ना. पढ़ना हमारा जिम्मेदारी है. स्मार्टली पढ़ना मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट है. 500 आवर्स ऑफ टाइम देना है आप. अगर जब आप देते हैं तब ऑटोमेटिकली सीट आता है. उसमें डिप्रेशन की कहाँ है बात, राइट? सो दैट्स अ सिंपल थिंग, डोंट वरी. Shabu is saying, sir, I have no girlfriend, sir. Now you can make, sir, array. You can go and propose. NEET PG में seat नहीं आया. I'm in a very vulnerable state. Will you be okay with me to go on a bike ride to Goa? Right? So एक अच्छा कहानी है किसी को elope करने के लिए. So please take this as an opportunity. So doctor, 2 minutes, I will go out of broadcast and restart the broadcast. Please stay in line because I just need to download a PowerPoint and we will restart. So please rejoin. Within 2 minutes, I'll stop the broadcast and restart the broadcast, right? Yeah.